Picture an antelope with a nose that looks like a small elephant trunk. An animal that made it through the Ice Age, mammoths and saber-toothed cats, yet nearly vanished in the 21st century because of human greed. 20 years ago, the saiga was on the brink of complete extinction. And today, millions of these ancient creatures roam the steppes of Kazakhstan. This is the story of how one country pulled off the impossible and brought an entire ecosystem back to life. Subscribe to the channel, it is going to be interesting. The saiga is not just an antelope, it is a living fossil, a witness from the age of mammoths. When woolly rhinos roamed Europe, saigas were already grazing across the endless steppes of Eurasia. Their strange swollen nose helped filter dust during migrations and warm the icy air of the Ice Age. In the 19th century, millions of saigas blanketed the steppes from Hungary to Mongolia. Travelers described herds stretching for dozens of miles. The ground shook under the hooves of hundreds of thousands of animals migrating in search of fresh grass. The Kazakh steppes were their main home, their kingdom. But the 20th century brought disaster. First, hunting for meat and hides cut their numbers. Then industrialization arrived, the ploughing of virgin land, the turning of steppes into crop fields. By mid-century, the population fell to critical levels, but the worst was still ahead. The 1990s became a black chapter in the saiga story. The collapse of the Soviet Union brought down the entire nature protection system. Poachers got total freedom to operate. A real slaughter began. Male saiga horns were worth more than gold on the Chinese traditional medicine market. Organised hunting crews in jeeps with automatic rifles swept the steppe. They killed only males for the horns, leaving the carcasses to rot under the sun. Females and calves were left without protection. The ecosystem was collapsing in real time. In 10 years, the population crashed from 1 million animals to a miserable 40,000. By 2005, the situation became critical. Scientists predicted the species would disappear completely in 5-10 years. The saiga was listed in the Red Book as critically endangered, in the same category as the Amur tiger and the black rhino. It seemed the ancient animal was doomed to repeat the mammoth's fate. That was exactly when the turning point happened. The government of Kazakhstan grasped the scale of the catastrophe and made a decision that would determine the species' fate. The Altyn Dala program launched, meaning Golden Steppe. It was the largest wildlife restoration project in the region. International organisations joined as partners. The Frankfurt Zoological Society, the Saiga Conservation Alliance, the World Wildlife Fund. Scientists, rangers, local residents and officials came together. The goal was one: save the saiga at any cost. The first step was creating enormous protected areas. Millions of hectares of steppe and semi-desert were placed under protection. These areas were so large you could see them from space. Special ecological corridors were created to connect scattered saiga habitats. Then came the toughest anti-poaching fight imaginable. Mobile ranger teams were formed, armed and trained to military standards. They patrolled the steppes in off-road vehicles and ATVs, using drones and satellite monitoring systems. Every poacher knew it. Now, they would be found and punished. At the same time, they launched a large-scale education campaign in rural areas. People were taught the value of the saiga not as a source of quick cash, but as part of the national heritage. Schools held lessons, showed films, and organised trips out into the steppe. The first results did not appear right away. Years passed, and the population grew slowly. Saigas are extremely vulnerable. Females give birth to 1 or 2 calves a year, and half of the young die in the first months of life. Predators, disease, and brutal winters cut through the herds. In 2015, a new tragedy struck. A mass outbreak of hemorrhagic septicemia, triggered by the bacterium Pasturella during abnormal heat and humidity, killed more than 200,000 saigers in 2 weeks. Entire herds dropped dead on the spot. Scientists were stunned. They had not seen a die-off of mammals on that scale since the rinderpest era in Africa. It seemed all the effort had gone up in smoke. But the project team did not give up. Emergency research was carried out, the mechanism of the outbreak was identified, prevention measures were developed. Veterinary monitoring was strengthened, quarantine zones were created, and the work continued. By 2018, the population began to rise rapidly. Saigers are remarkably fertile under good conditions. Females reach sexual maturity as early as 8 months. With good nutrition and no threats, a herd can double in 2-3 years. The growth numbers were striking. 2019, 600,000 animals. 2020, more than 1 million. 2021, 1.5 million. 2022, 2 million. The steppes of Kazakhstan filled with life again. Counts were done using aircraft and satellite imagery. Pilots flew over vast areas, photographing herds from the air. Then, specialised software counted the animals in the images. GPS collars were also used on some animals to track migration routes. By 2023, the saiga population in Kazakhstan reached an impressive figure, from 1.9 million to 4.1 million animals, depending on the counting method. The International Union for Conservation of Nature officially downgraded the species status from critically endangered to near threatened. It was a rare success in conservation history. No large mammal had rebounded that fast. For comparison, the American bison recovered over more than 100 years. The humpback whale, despite the ban on commercial whaling, still has not reached its historic numbers. The saiga came back in 15 years. But the return of millions of animals brought not only joy, it also brought new problems. Huge saiga herds began competing with livestock for grazing land. Farmers complained that saigas trampled grass meant for sheep and cattle. In some areas, saigas ran onto farmland, damaging crops. Local residents who had celebrated the return of wildlife now faced real economic losses. A conflict of interests emerged, protecting nature versus meeting people's needs. The government developed a compensation system for farmers. If saigas caused damage to crops or pasture, owners received cash reimbursement from a special fund. Buffer zones also began to be created between protected areas and agricultural land. An idea appeared: controlled use of the resource. Some experts suggested allowing limited saiga hunting under strict quotas. That could provide extra income for local residents and reduce pressure on pastures. But the idea sparked heated debate among conservationists. By 2025, Kazakhstan's Ministry of Ecology said the population could exceed 5 million animals by 2026. That would mean the species had fully recovered to historic levels. The steppe became home again to millions of hoofed animals, just as it was thousands of years ago. The saiga's return set off a cascade effect in the ecosystem. Along with the antelopes, their natural predators returned. Wolves, once nearly wiped out, appeared in the steppes again. Steppe eagles increased in number, gaining an abundance of prey. Saigas themselves play a key role in the steppe ecosystem. They do not just eat grass, they shape the landscape. The hooves of millions of animals loosen the soil, helping new plants grow. Their droppings fertilize the ground, enriching it with nutrients. Saigas carry plant seeds over huge distances. During migrations that cover hundreds of miles, they spread vegetation, creating more diverse plant life. Scientists found that in areas with high saiga density, plant species diversity is 30% higher. Even the carcasses of dead animals matter to the ecosystem. Scavengers depend on that food source. One dead saiga feeds dozens of species of organisms, from beetles to large vultures. The Steppe's recovery has an economic effect. Ecotourism became a new industry. Tourists from around the world came to see saiga migrations, one of the greatest natural spectacles on Earth. Local residents opened guest houses, worked as guides, and sold souvenirs. International recognition came in 2024. The Altyn Dala project received the prestigious Earthshot Prize in the Protect and Restore Nature category. It is one of the most significant environmental awards in the world, founded by Prince William. The prize brought not only fame, but also £1 million in funding. The money was directed toward expanding protected areas, training new rangers, and scientific research. Kazakhstan's experience became a model for other countries trying to restore lost species. Kazakhstan's success inspired neighbouring countries. Uzbekistan, where only about 500 saigas remain, launched its own recovery programme. In the area of the dried-up Aral Sea, a nature reserve was created and included on the UNESCO World Heritage List. Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan signed a cooperation memorandum. Plans include creating cross-border protected areas and migration corridors. Saigas do not recognise national borders. They need thousands of square miles for seasonal movement. Russia also joined the effort. In the Caspian steppes, the saiga population grew from 4,500 to 38,000 animals in a few years. That is more modest than Kazakhstan's results, but it is still major progress. Mongolia is restoring its special saiga subspecies, the Mongolian zeren. The population has grown to 15,000 animals. Mongolia's steppes are filling with life again, even if the scale cannot compare to Kazakhstan. Under the Convention on the Conservation of Migratory Species, there is an international saiga agreement. All range countries participate: Kazakhstan, Russia, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Mongolia. It is the first time so many countries have united for one steppe species. The boldest plan became reintroducing the saiga to China. The species went extinct there 75 years ago. Kazakhstan agreed to transfer 1,500 wild saigas to China to rebuild a population in its historic habitats. This is a large-scale project of moving wild animals between countries. Scientists carefully select individuals, check their health, and prepare them for transport. The animals will be moved in specialised enclosures where they will go through quarantine before release into the Chinese steppes. Chinese authorities have already prepared several reserves with a total area of more than 1 million hectares. Watering points and feeding areas have been built, and rangers have been hired. If the experiment succeeds, the saiga will return to lands where it has not been seen since the time of the Civil War in China. The scientific community is watching Kazakhstan's experience closely. Geneticists study saiga DNA to understand how a small population avoided inbreeding and genetic collapse. It turned out saigas kept surprising genetic diversity, thanks to migration between separated herds. Ecologists are studying how climate change affects saigas. Kazakhstan's steppes are becoming drier and hotter. Drought periods are happening more often. How this will affect the population in the long run is still unclear, but for now, saigas are showing strong adaptability. Veterinarians developed an early warning system for epidemics. After the 2015 catastrophe, they continuously monitor the health of wild herds. Samples are taken regularly and tested for pathogens. At the first signs of an outbreak, they are ready to act immediately. Wildlife protection technology keeps improving. Now they use artificial intelligence to analyse satellite images. Programs automatically estimate herd size, migration direction, and detect anomalies. That saves scientists hundreds of hours of work. Drones with thermal cameras patrol the steppe, spotting poachers at night. The system automatically sends the violators' coordinates to the nearest ranger team. Response time dropped from several hours to 20-30 minutes. Local residents became the saiga's main allies in protection. A network of community inspectors was created from steppe herders. They know every corner of their land and notice any suspicious activity. Rewards are paid for information about poachers. Young people are brought in through education programs. Students take part in saiga counts, help install trail cameras, and plant vegetation to restore pastures. A generation is growing up for whom conservation is not a duty, it is part of identity. The project's economic model proved viable. A live saiga brings in far more money than a dead one. Ecotourism, research grants, international funding, all of that creates jobs and income for local communities. Wildlife photographers from around the world come to Kazakhstan to capture saiga migrations. These images appear in National Geographic, BBC, and other leading outlets. Kazakhstan gets free publicity as a country with unique nature. Film studios make documentaries about the steppe's revival. Stories of rangers who risk their lives fighting poachers touch the hearts of millions of viewers. The saiga became a symbol of hope, proof that people can fix their mistakes. The saiga's cultural meaning for the Kazakh people is being reimagined. In ancient times, steppe nomads revered these antelopes, believing they were spirits of the steppe. Modern artists, writers, and musicians draw inspiration from the saiga's comeback story. In Astana, a museum dedicated to steppe nature opened. The central exhibit tells the story of saving the saiga. Interactive screens show migrations in real time. Kids can put on VR headsets and end up in the middle of a running antelope herd. Despite the success, threats remain. Poaching has not disappeared completely, it has just gone underground. Demand for saiga horns on the black market is still high. 1 kilogram of horns costs thousands of dollars. For a poor steppe resident, that is a massive temptation. Infrastructure development creates new challenges. Building roads, gas pipelines, and power lines fragment saiga habitat. Animals run into fences and cannot complete traditional migration routes. Climate change increases unpredictability. Extreme weather, summer droughts, and harsh winters when the steppe gets sealed under an icy crust are becoming more frequent. During a zut, saigas cannot reach grass under the ice and die in large numbers from starvation. Scientists are developing strategies to adapt to the changing climate. Plans include creating additional watering points in critical zones. They are also considering supplemental feeding in extreme periods, even though that goes against the principles of wildlife conservation. The long-term goal is creating a self-sustaining population that does not require constant human intervention. Saigas should live the way they did for thousands of years, freely migrating across endless steppes, following ancient instincts. To make that possible, they need enormous territories. Experts calculated that a stable population of 5-6 million animals requires at least 50 million hectares of suitable habitat. That is an area larger than Spain. Kazakhstan has that kind of space. Steppes and semi-deserts cover a huge part of the country. But this land is used for grazing livestock, mining, and agriculture. Finding a balance between development and protecting nature is the main challenge. The concept of shared land use is gaining popularity. Instead of dividing areas into strictly protected and fully economic zones, mixed-use zones are created. Here, both livestock and wild saigas graze under ecologist supervision. Herders are learning to manage grazing so there is enough forage left for wild hoofed animals. Traditional nomadic herding methods are used, where herds keep moving and do not exhaust pastures. That benefits people and nature. The international community views the Kazakhstan project as a model for other regions. In Africa, they are trying to restore antelope populations. In North America, pronghorn. In Mongolia, zeren. Everywhere they apply lessons learned from the saiga experience. The main lesson is simple. Recovery is possible if there is political will, adequate funding, and support from local people. Without any one of these pieces, the project is doomed. But when all three come together, miracles happen. Funding. Different models are being considered. Payments for ecosystem services, where countries that benefit from preserving the steppes pay for their protection. Carbon credits. The steppes absorb huge amounts of CO2. Developing ecotourism as a self-sustaining industry. Some experts suggest creating a world-class steppe national park, similar to Serengeti or Yellowstone. That would attract tens of thousands of tourists each year, creating a stable source of income. But it would require massive infrastructure: hotels, roads, and visitor centres. Others are The story of the saiga's revival in Kazakhstan is more than the success of one project. It proves that with the will, the resources, and people's support, you can fix even catastrophic mistakes of the past. From 20,000 dying animals to 5 million thriving. That is the path the saiga travelled in 2 decades. An ancient antelope that survived the Ice Age is now surviving the age of human civilization, thanks to those who did not give up. Subscribe to the channel and be sure to write where you are watching from.